StreamYard, really. Welcome. StreamYard was being a little slow on the whatever it's called. But anyway, we're live. We're doing the recap. I'm putting it places. Hopefully people see it. But anyway, enough about that. This was a week. It was. What do you think?
Yeah, it was. It was a week. Look at I even forgot to plug my mic in.
Oh my god.
Okay, now we're ready to roll.
Did it even turn on the Twitter portion of this show? Oh, it did. We have 2 viewers on Periscope. Don't view us on there. You won't be able to, or maybe you will be able to comment now. No, still can't comment. Can't comment.
See, me not remembering to plug my mic in fits all too well with how this week was for fantasy. At least for most people, like including
it was a great week. As long as you didn't start Chris Godwin, Mike Evans, or Leonard Fournette. Well, Leonard Fournette was still fine, but Godwin or Evans.
You want to add to the list?
Well, I have no Godwin or Evans.
Yeah. Well, I'm saying like Jamar Chase. One exception. He did have 2, but it got called back on a holding.
He could have been better. I think that's a good statement. Yeah. He could have been better. I think next time he'll do better. Of course, next week, for all those who had him and were eliminated from the playoffs, next week he'll have a big game. And, I would say that I feel sorry for you. And I do. But, at the end of the day, one thing I've learned is that I often am like talking to one person who lost their matchup, and then 2 questions later, it's the start set question from the person who won the same matchup. This happens a lot to me on Twitter, where people in the same league are asking me start set questions against each other. So oftentimes I'm celebrating one person's victory in my comments is the same as another person's loss. It's crazy. I have enough followers that happens like on a regular basis, and I always find it funny.
That's hilarious.
But I do wish everyone good luck, but I do know that not everyone can win. Sometimes it is a zero-sum game.
Sure. I mean, there was a lot of duds today. I wouldn't
say that this was like a bad fantasy week. Would you, like, compared to others? I didn't see it.
I saw the question, and I think it might have been, at least for like top tier players. Like, honestly,
Jonathan Taylor yesterday was not bad.
Oh, he's the exception to the rule.
point. Tyler Huntley was great. Didn't you start him?
No.
Why not?
Because I was too locked in with like Justin Herbert yesterday or on Thursday.
Well,
so like it didn't turn out bad.
Well, we all should have seen that coming, right? We should have known that Tyler Huntley was a good play. Shouldn't we?
No.
Lock says hi.
Also, you have Cordell Patterson, who got the touchdown vultured from him today by the penalty.
That original touchdown looked like a touchdown.
Yeah.
I don't know about that call, but.
And he only ended up scoring 3 total points on the day. Russell Gage had a huge monster day.
Well, speaking of Russell Gage. Thoughts on Russell Gage moving forward? What are we talking here? Dynasty, redraft, what?
I'm just going to assume. He's definitely rosterable in Dynasty. We had this talk about his contract. What was it?
Yeah. Given that it's Spock, who I know, and I know that he has Dynasty teams, I will assume this is probably a Dynasty question. I would say that, they're not going to be able to re-sign him, right? We've discussed that. They're in cap nightmare. They're still paying like $10 million for Julio. And then Ridley's option, they're going to have to pay that, whether he plays or not. Well, they'll have to count it against their cap, at least to start. They might be able to get some relief later, but they're not going to be able to. So it is a Dynasty question. Yep. But they're not going to be able to write that off as of now. So, but he's good. He's not bad. He's 25 years old. He's a 96 birthday somewhere. I don't know exactly where in 96, but he's a 96 birthday. Similar to Christian Kirk, going in free agency at a young age. Same draft class. No, I like Russell Gage. He is what he is, right? He will Ryan, you, Jamison Crowder, really? I mean, kind of what he reminds me of.
Yeah, I feel like he's a spot starter on Dynasty rosters. You can start him when you need to. Like, he's not going to be in your starting lineup every week, but if someone goes down with an injury or something, you could start him if you absolutely need to.
Yeah. Yeah, that sounds
more.
Russell Gage or Terrace Marshall?
No, Russell Gage. You know how I feel about Terrace Marshall now.
Dead to me. Yeah, dead to me. Russell Gage or Julio?
I can't trust Julio going forward. Russell Gage at least score points.
Yeah, Julio's worthless. You can cut him. That's a little extreme, but honestly not far from the truth. Gage or Jarvis Landry?
It's going to require some thought, but I'd probably take Russell Gage. I don't know what the future holds for Landry.
Corey Davis?
I love Corey Davis, don't get me wrong, but I'll take Russell Gage as well. I don't know what's going on in New York. I think they're going to add someone else. I think they have to.
Do they?
I think they do.
Maybe
to play across from Davis.
They could, yeah. I mean, they could add Russell Gage.
That would work.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of similar. I mean, I would rather have Davis, but I actually think Davis was going to be good if he had stayed healthy. I mean, Zach Wilson seemed to show a liking for Davis. Landry is kind of, I like Landry's a better player, but I actually do think Landry's a better player than Russell Gage. It's always been better. He still is. I think Landry at 29 is better than Russell Gage now, but Landry's got to get out of there. But if he does and he gets out of there, I think Landry's someone who could walk into another team and be a wide receiver 2 again. I don't think Landry's the kind of player who's going to age very well. I mean, you could see Landry having a Cole Beasley type season 4 years from now. Very possible. So I just think that Landry has a little bit more upside than Gage, even with the age. I just don't think Gage is ever going to be worth anything. Gage's ceiling is what Hunter Renfrow is worth now. That's Gage's best case scenario. That's if it's perfect. He had a great play today, though. Don't get me wrong.
That was a nice Moss.
He's legitimate player, but not, I'd rather players I think are a little better. But, I don't dislike it.
Class is loaded for wide receivers. So
loaded, yeah. It's loaded, including Jamison Crowder, who I mentioned as a comparable. I don't know who NFL teams would prefer. I don't. For 1 year. I don't know if NFL teams would prefer to have Crowder or Gage. Not sure. Probably Gage, but the big difference in Dynasty is the age. Gage is like 3 years younger, so that gives him an edge. But, Gage is behind the prizes of the free agent class, which is the big
dominoes are going to fall.
Well, the big three, at this point, assuming that Godwin is not walking, the big three are Juju, Gallup, and Kirk. Kirk, very good. Very good today. Very good again. Again, good. I don't know. Kirk is making a case to be the top prize in the free agency class. But what about this? How do we feel about A.J. Brown returning in Week 16? Is that a guarantee? I don't know about that.
I'm hearing it is. At least I don't know.
I'm hearing that, but is that... Let's discuss this if and when that actually happens. If he returns, you have to play him. So, especially with Julio out again.
I want to double it back to the free agency question. So do you think the Packers retain Devontae Adams?
If they retain Aaron Rodgers, they're going to retain Devontae Adams.
Yeah, of course.
If Rodgers walks, it's hard. They could use the franchise tag on Adams.
I feel like he'd go full Allen Robinson on him, though.
I'm sure he would. But I don't know. You'd tag and trade, I guess.
Yeah. And then also the dominoes of I'm looking around. Mike Williams is going to end up somewhere else probably.
You think he's going to end up somewhere else?
I think he could. I don't know where.
He could resign there.
He could. They do have a lot of cap. I think they're third, fourth most.
They have the space. They could resign him. I don't think it's a lock that he leaves. I mean, even Kirk leaving Arizona is not a lock. I mean, Rondale Moore has been abysmal lately. Abysmal. Terrible. I mean, if they re-sign Kirk, I wouldn't be stunned. It really doesn't make sense that's the one thing is like Rondale Moore was drafted as a successor to Kirk. In theory, Rondale Moore can do what Kirk does and more and better. It wouldn't really make sense to have Rondale Moore as an option with Hopkins, Kirk, and then Moore. Doesn't make sense. What would make more sense is if they let Kirk walk, re-signed AJ Green and Ertz to cheap veteran deals, and then had Rondale Moore in the mix. You can't rely on Rondale Moore as the second option at this point. But if you have him in the mix behind, Green and Ertz to start and then see if he can handle it, it just doesn't, given Kirk and Moore's skill sets, it just doesn't really make sense for them to re-sign Kirk. But they could just decide that, hey, we're trying to win here. I mean, and we can have a reasonable deal. I just think someone else is going to offer him more money. He's going to be worth more to someone else than he is to them.
Yeah, I'm really interested with this whole free agency class. I see DJ Chark here. I'm interested to see if he leaves Jacksonville. I know he's not a huge user.
I mean, really, of all of the players, I think the one that's only Michael Gallup is a lock to leave.
Yeah, I agree.
They cannot re-sign him. They can't. They have no money. There's no way they can re-sign him. That is not possible. He will be gone. Allen Robinson, too. That's like a lock. Allen Robinson is gone. He's not staying. We forgot about Allen Robinson.
There's so many. You forget about him. There's so many this year. It's going to be done.
Whereas, DJ Chark, I'm leaning towards stays. I mean, Laviska Shenault is not it. Marvin Jones is washed. I think DJ Chark stays. Where else is he going to go? I think this team is going to be the one that wants him. I think he stays. I think he stays on a 1-year deal. 1-year prove-it deal. No one's going to give him a long-term deal. So
I was just interested because I was scrolling through and I saw his name down there, and I know he's very under the radar because of the injury. And
speaking of that team, Laquan Treadwell needs to be added. I cannot believe that this is coming out of my mouth, but it is. Laquan Treadwell needs to be added to your dynasty team. Yes, I know. This is year 6? This is a bust, right? I mean, total bust. But this happens. This happens where receivers just kind of come out of nowhere, establish themselves, and then sign. And this happened with Brashad Perryman, and they signed with the Jets. He had value, and he signed with the Lions again. He had value again. You could have traded him for a 3rd-round pick both times. And even if just for that reason, you have to add Laquan Treadwell to your team. Someone is going to sign him. He's played well. He played well again this week. It could be the Jaguars sign him, instead of Chark, if they want a cheaper option, or in addition to, could be in addition to, or someone else signs him. I mean, who knows? But he's someone I would add just in case. I'd rather have him than Denzel Failure. Minimal. Yeah. I think AJ Brown will cover that when he gets there. The Cardinals in trouble? No, it was 1 game. I mean, it is what it is, right? It happens. I'd say no, right?
It does happen, but I'm a little more concerned in New York because I feel like we've seen this before, last year, not the magnitude, but after Kyler Murray gets hurt, he becomes, I
think this was a Deandre Hopkins problem.
Yeah, that's fair.
I think that the other options are just not good enough. They're not good enough to make up for a lack of DeAndre Hopkins. And I think that's an issue. So we'll see. I don't think it helped that Edmonds and Connor were both hurt. That probably didn't help. But they both played okay. They're both pretty good. So it's not really an excuse. Yeah. I would say no to this question. Tua. I mean, they won.
But they beat the Jets.
Yeah, no thanks to him.
Yeah, the stat line not impressive.
It's not just the stat line. That pick was not good.
True. It was all Duke Johnson. Duke Johnson carried them to the win.
That pick 6 was no good, though. No. That can't happen. That can't happen. You got to see that coming. You got to see the defender there. Cannot do that in, near. That was on their side of the field, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was on like their 25, 30.
20-yard interception return. Yeah, that won't do. He's got to do better than that. That can't happen. So I expect it better than that. But, at the end of the day, he's taken them to a 7-7 record. And in the quarterback market in the NFL, it's wins that matter. Fair or unfair, that's what matters. So, I think he's doing a good job of retaining that job. But Duke Johnson. If I'd told you with Gaskin and Ahmed activated that this would be Duke Johnson's first ever 100-yard game, first ever multi-rushing touchdown game, and first ever game with 20 or more carries, what would you have said?
I would have said what?
Crazy, right?
Yeah, are we talking about the right Duke Johnson?
Yeah,
that's what I would.
But hey, Duke Johnson is the University of Miami's all-time leading rusher.
That is true.
Not Frank Gore, not Clinton Portis, not Edgerrin James, not Willis McGahee. None of them. It's Duke Johnson. Just remember that.
Duke Johnson
that's literally the most commonly quoted stat about Duke Johnson.
If he does this next week, I think fantasy Twitter is going to be all just out of pocket with everything.
You got to add him, right?
Oh, you have to. I mean,
have to. Next week, let's take a look at next week. What's coming up next week? Next week is at the Saints. Not so good.
No.
Not so good. The Saints were played pretty good defense today.
Yeah.
So
they locked him down.
Yeah, the matchup against the Saints is not exactly my first choice. But
no.
Wow, Duke Johnson, 22 carries.
That's just so weird to look at when I'm looking at the game log.
Yeah, you think that this was mostly because Gaskin was still a little bit sick, recovering from COVID?
I mean, maybe.
Well, okay. What do you do next week? What do you do? Can you start anybody again? Can you start? You can't, right?
No,
you probably can't. You probably have to just pass on both. Really.
Yeah.
I think you have to. I don't think you can trust anyone. I don't know who I'm going to rank higher. I think a lot of it depends on if we get anything from Brian Flores. Flores is not the biggest liar, but the problem is that Flores rarely says anything.
No.
He doesn't lie a lot, but he rarely says anything. So it's unlikely we're going to get anything about who the starter is going to be. But if we do, we can probably trust it. The times where we've gotten this backfield wrong are like this week where we've had nothing, no info. I mean, we did hear it would be a split, but I think we always expected it to be a split.
Yeah.
That wasn't helpful. I don't think this was a split. This is not what I would have had in mind.
Need more, Brian. Need more.
And then also, Philip Lindsay could be activated from the COVID list next week. And Malcolm Brown is very close to returning from his quad injury.
We're just going to see all 4 of these guys get 7 carries to 8 carries apiece.
Yeah, you have to add Duke Johnson in a dynasty league. In redraft, you probably have better options. There are probably players on where I would rather add Craig Reynolds than Duke Johnson because I cannot possibly play it. If there's no situation where I'm going to be, because Gaskin didn't get hurt, so there's no situation where I'm going to be comfortable playing Duke Johnson next week. That's just not going to happen. Whereas Craig Reynolds, if we knew that both players were out, Swift and Williams, you could trust him now. You can trust Craig Reynolds next week. Whereas with Duke Johnson, you can't. The situation's not going to happen. You can't trust him. But thoughts on Tua? I mean, he had a not so great game. I'm not overly worried.
You see Craig Reynolds matchup for next week?
Oh, I actually have.
Wow.
I have. What a surprise!
Craig
what
Reynolds
a surprise that Atlanta is coming up.
Wow.
Atlanta. Now, Craig Reynolds is going to be a league winner, isn't he? Because after Atlanta comes Seattle.
Wow.
How wonderful.
Unbelievable. How'd this happen? How did we get here?
I mean, game's the game, right?
Fitting. Seems fitting with everything.
So I think we talked about Tua. We talked about Gage. Risers, all right. Risers and fallers, all right. Good. That's a good question. Any big risers for you this week?
Looking around, I don't think we want to raise up Brandon Cooks after that performance, although
I kind of feel like Brandon Cooks is at the point in his career where he is what he is. Get one game is not gonna. We know what Brandon Cooks is. We know that Brandon Cooks is good. We know that Brandon Cooks is stuck on the Texans. We know all of these things.
Someone's got to get him out of there.
That's not gonna happen. I just don't think Brandon Cooks qualifies as someone who can. Oh, okay. I have one. Donta Foreman. I'm taking Donta Foreman seriously. Now, I'm taking Donta Foreman seriously. As in, I expect Donta Foreman to sign next year in a legitimate role on an NFL team. Could just be a handcuff, but I'm expecting Donta Foreman to be not a starter, but I'm expecting him to be a backup of some kind. Be that a handcuff or a complimentary back. I expect him to be something next year. He could be the person who signs with the Jets to complement Michael Carter.
That'd be nice.
He could be the discount version of Melvin Gordon that the Broncos sign as their backup to Javonte Williams. That could be an option. But what I'm saying is I expect him to go somewhere where he will have dynasty value. It could be the 49ers. They decide that Jeff Wilson is okay, but we think Donta Foreman would be a better backup to Elijah Mitchell. Notice how certain Trey Sermons were not mentioned. He doesn't deserve to be mentioned. The Giants, maybe they signed Donta Foreman as Saquon Barkley's backup. That wouldn't be the best landing spot. Well, honestly, these days.
I don't know.
These days it might be.
After today, I don't know.
Well, I mean, he did have one good catch, one play of relevance the whole game. One play that was worth watching of his entire game. One play worth watching. One out of 35. Not good enough. But, back to Donta Foreman. I mean, he could resign in Tennessee as Derrick Henry's handcuff, which would not be ideal. But
no.
There are many places where he could go and be legitimate, and I think that he's going to go to one of them. So he's on my list. I mean, we have two here that are on my list.
Yeah.
Amon-Ra.
That's good. Yep.
Let's talk about Amon-Ra. I mean, another big game today. What did he have? I know he had a touchdown. He did have a touchdown. 8 for 90 and a touchdown.
Take that every week.
I mean, yes.
Especially today.
Any day.
I know.
Amon-Ra. All right. Here, let's play the game. Amon-Ra, or let's go really high for a second. See if we can tempt you. Amon-Ra or Chase Claypool?
You know how I feel about Chase Claypool.
Yes, I literally have an article in my 6-pack and Monday Hangover of will Chase Claypool be punished?
He's so not good today, and I'm a little. It's tempting. I want to say Claypool. I will. It's so close already.
It's not close.
It's not close. I'm not a fan of Claypool.
Neither am I. but I think we don't want to get carried away on a 4th round pick here. All right, I just threw Claypool in mostly to take a dig at him. What about someone more reasonable? Well, it's not going to sound reasonable. Deandre Hopkins.
It's not going to sound reasonable, but he's on the
DeAndre Hopkins or Amon-Ra?
I think you bank on one more productive year out of DeAndre Hopkins, honestly.
I agree.
The whole knock on Amon-Ra is who else is he competing for targets right now? Hawkinson's out, Swift's out. They have to add someone else, right?
They do. And also DeAndre Hopkins, I think, is a Hall of Famer. But no, I don't need to think about that. DeAndre Hopkins is a Hall of Famer. And Hall of Famers last longer. Julio Jones, really, it took until what? I mean, his age, was he good last year? Would you say 2020? Would you say Julio Jones was worth it? I mean, yeah, right? I mean, he was still good in 2020.
Yeah, it wasn't bad.
Yeah, 2020, he had, 2020 was honestly not that great. But 2019, his age 30 season. So, yeah, maybe you have 1 year left.
And I'll take it over.
And it's probably worth it. If he gets it back together.
Well, we'll see in the playoffs. He's supposed to be
back. No, it's true.
We'll see at least something from D-Hop.
Well, we might not see anything. I don't think it's a lock that he returns, personally.
That's true, but there's at least a chance.
Well, anyway, let's have, how about some contemporaries from his same class? Kadarius Toney or Amon-Ra?
I mean, you have to trust the draft capital, right? Like, but Kadarius Toney just doesn't play.
Well, now they're down Sterling Shepard forever, probably. I mean, Sterling Shepard's probably played his last snap as a Giant. I mean, Achilles tear now.
Yeah.
An Achilles tear now means that he's going to miss next season.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's just no way. How is he going to? An Achilles tear now that's it. I think Sterling Shepard's career is over.
Yeah, I honestly missed that one. I didn't.
Yeah, no, it was confirmed like an hour after it happened. It must be bad. No, it's devastating. I mean, it's devastating. This is just. There's no one left. I mean, it is what I don't even know what they do because they're still going to have to pay his contract next year. They're not going to be able to sign another free agent. They can't afford to spend another draft pick. I mean, they're going to just have to move forward. Probably means Darius Slayton is worth a waiver ad, Dynasty only, because he's not that far away from having a role at this point. And if he flashes next year, he could be on a new team the year after. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I guess Kadarius Toney over Amon-Ra, but
not confident either.
Close. Rondale Moore.
I'll take Rondale Moore. I hope the ADOT goes up. I hope.
I might have to go the other way. I think I haven't seen anything from Rondale Moore. Oh, yeah, 2 catches, really? I mean, 2 catches in the earlier season. That's it. That's it. That's not good enough. I want to see more at this point. It's one thing. I always say, you don't have to break out year 1. You don't have to break out year 1. That's fine. But I think by the second half of year 1, I want to see something. And this is just not enough. This is not good enough. This is not a good rookie year. This is bad. This is a bad rookie year. I mean, if Antoine Wesley is playing ahead of you, we have a problem. That won't work. If you're a success as a second round pick, Antoine Wesley should never be playing ahead of you. Especially not now. I'm a little worried. I think I'm going to have to go the other way. I think I'm going to have to go with Amon-Ra. Because he's done. And then we get into a range of older guys. Michael Thomas. No. Michael Gallup. Maybe, but he comes with a lot of risk. Calvin Ridley is impossible to value. So, yeah, I think that tells you kind of range. I really like Amon-Ra, though. I do. I think he has some staying power. I don't think he's just going to go away.
Yeah, he's not going to go away, but he's not. I don't know if it's this. I don't think this is going to be like consistent or close to consistent.
No. I don't think Amon-Ra is like a long-term wide receiver 1 or anything.
Yeah, he's just worth the roster spot.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Startable, probably.
Yeah, I think you can start him at this point. I do. I think you can start him
this season. I'm talking about future.
Next week, I think you can start him. You can start him next week against Atlanta. I think so.
Yeah,
I would do that. Has anyone? Okay, Gabe Davis these past few weeks. Yes, I have been paying attention to that. What do you think of Gabe Davis?
I mean, I saw a joke on the timeline today about touchdown regression. Was it like 20% of his catches are touchdowns? I'm pretty sure it's something close to that, obviously. But man, he's flashed in year 1 and year 2.
I know,
and he's linked to Josh Allen, and Cole Beasley's getting up there. Emmanuel Sanders is basically, done.
Sanders, I think, is just done. Yeah, Sanders is dust.
I mean, and he's looked good every time he's on the field. So, like, I'm in.
But in for what, though? Like, what are you going to pay to acquire Gabriel Davis?
I probably won't go out and trade for him, but I feel like it'd take more than 1 second to go acquire him at this point. I don't think
I'm not even sure I'm paying 1 second.
I still think I think it'd take more, to be quite honest with you.
I'm just going to take more than forget it.
Yeah. I'm out at maybe what did it cost to acquire, but I'm in where I drafted him at in the 4th round.
Yeah, well, I'm fine with that. Yeah. But yeah, his ADP is way too low. So he's someone that, I mean, I'd consider drafting.
Yeah.
But not trading for. But yes, the answer to this question is yes, I've been paying attention to. I mean, this is one game, right? That he lost. Let's not forget he lost. How much of that is his fault?
Not much. He tried.
I will say that if you have Rashad Bateman on your Dynasty team, you gotta hope Lamar comes back, because this is really bad. This is really bad.
It's weird because it was really good last week.
That won't last. Man, it's brutal. 2 targets, and Hollywood had 14.
Absolutely brutal. I mean, I feel like this season just tells me that I have to go reevaluate my scouting process when it comes to Dynasty. So we'll see.
Who would you rather have, Hollywood or Bateman in Dynasty?
Probably Hollywood at this point. He's the staying power.
Probably. I don't really want either of them. Can't trust them.
If I had to choose.
Yeah, I'd rather have Hollywood. Andrews, though.
Yeah, he's the one I'd rather have.
Andrews is the man.
Can I opt out and take him?
Yeah, I'll opt out and take him any day. Yeah. Huntley, though, 13 for 73 and 2 touchdowns on the ground. You think he, I mean, in a Superflex, I mean, there's no way he made this week through waivers. In Superflex Dynasty, he was picked up and played, almost for sure. But you think he has, like, legitimate, like, actually, do you think he has the potential to be a starting quarterback in the NFL eventually? This path to being a starter is rarer now than it was 10 years ago. The sit on someone else's team from nowhere and then become a starter on another team. Who's the last quarterback really to do that?
Tyrod. Probably Tyrod.
Tyrod, right? And where did Tyrod come from?
Baltimore.
That's right. So Tyrod's really the last one to do that, to just come from another team, sit there. I mean, who are other guys like that, really? I mean, it's hard to think of any off the top of your head, right?
Yeah.
It's rare in today's world.
I think it's Tyrod, quite honest with you. So.
Yeah, because usually the late round guys that get a chance on their own team and eventually become the starter there. Dak, for example. Kirk Cousins, another example. Then he was traded, but he, became a starter for Washington initially. Russell Wilson was a later round pick, same thing. He became the starter there. But it's rare that you have someone just like sit around. I mean, I guess Jimmy Garoppolo. He was a second round pick. He wasn't a UDFA like Tyler Huntley. Or whatever Tyler Huntley. It was 6th round. I don't remember what Tyler Huntley was. Pretty sure it was UDFA because he's an exclusive rights free agent this year, which probably means he's a UDFA. But he. Do you think he's one of the 32 best quarterbacks in the NFL?
That might be
so.
I think he's like.
That's a stretch.
I'd say like 35.
I would say, okay, I mean, look, he's an exclusive rights free agent. So he's going to be on the Ravens next year. He's obviously earned the right to be Lamar's backup. And he's worth rostering at this point because we know that if Lamar's out, you can play Huntley as this week he was quarterback 1 overall by a mile. That's not, I think. I think he was.
He was.
If he wasn't, he was very close. And he won he was a league playoff winner this week.
How about that?
Yeah, but what I mean by that is like you can play him. You can play him as a low-end QB1 if the matchup is strong, or a mid QB2 in the worst matchup possible. You can play him. He has legs, so you can play him. And if there's a quarterback like that who's actually super flex viable, no, we're not talking about like Case Keenum or Joe Flacco, someone who's actually super flex viable, if the starter goes down, then that player should be rostered in a super flex league indefinitely. And, I think he's shown enough that he'll probably get some sort of opportunity at some point. But we say that about a lot of guys, and this just never happens. Like, remember, there was a time where everyone was like, oh, Nick Mullins will become a starter elsewhere. That never quite happened, right? So, wouldn't it be funny if the Ravens gave up on Lamar?
Tyler Huntley.
For Huntley as their stuff. Can you imagine?
I couldn't imagine that.
It's not going to happen.
It'd be quite a world, but yeah. I'd say 35. Like, you got to account for backups like Minshew or maybe Mariota. I don't know.
I mean, I don't know. I can't imagine that anyone's going to make Tyler Huntley their starter, but stranger things have happened.
League has been definitely strange.
Any big Dynasty fallers?
Oh gosh, I had the name pulled up here. I forget where I was going because I had a definite answer because someone in this week struggled. Oh, I mean Chase Claypool, of course, but
Chase Claypool, I think, was already
on down
last week.
Yeah, I mean, looking around, Ayuk only had 1 reception, but I don't think
I'm not running out to downgrade Ayuk because, it was a run-heavy game. They were winning the whole time.
Oh, yeah, I agree. Oh, Cortland Sutton, I think he might need to fall down even further.
Are you sure that's the one from that game that needs a discussion? Let's talk about that. So, remember was that on this show that I did the Albert Okwuegbunam big shit all over everything?
Maybe.
Well, we're back. We're back. When we have only 159 passing yards and Albert O has 3 for 58, that doesn't leave enough for everyone else. But you can't start Albert O. So, yeah, let's see. Jerry Jeudy. 0. Wonderful. Unacceptable. I'm not going to take an excuse. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. I don't care that the quarterback got hurt in the middle of the game. I don't care. I don't want to hear it. Not good enough. Not good. Tired of Jerry Jeudy. He is just not good enough. So that's going to be a problem. And Cortland Sutton managed to catch 2 of his 7 targets for a measly 12 yards. That won't work. That is unacceptable. Completely unacceptable. He's been horrible all year, pretty much. He had, 3 good games? There were 3 good games when Jeudy was out. Since Judy's come back, he's been horrible. This is actually the first time, though, he accomplished something this week. He accomplished something he'd never done in his career. In a game that Jerry Jeudy started, he actually had more fantasy points than Jeudy. 3.2 PPR points was enough to be more. Not acceptable. I mean, Tim Patrick, he scored, but 3 for 42 and 1 is not – that's fine. You can't start him. You can't start him. You can't start Alberto. And those two who you can't start take enough fantasy points that you can't start anyone else either. Noah Fant, I guess, if you have to. 5 for 57 was not bad. Tight end, it's not bad. But this is a disaster. This is just a disaster. Was it worse with Locke or was it worse with Bridgewater today? It was bad with both of them.
Yeah, it was bad with both of them. I mean, from what I saw, Drew Lock came in and played well. So
well is
the first drive he was 4 for 50 some yards, and then as the game turned off, but
it became not so good. I mean,
oh yeah, you're not wrong. I missed that part.
Then it became not so good. This is just. He also fumbled, which is the least surprising thing that Drew Lock can't take care of the ball. There were some demands that I read about this week that Teddy Bridgewater is going to demand a $25 million a year contract. Who's going to give him a $25 million a year contract? The contract fairy?
I mean, I have an answer, but we
Who? The XFL?
He'll go back to Carolina. I'm kidding, obviously.
No, I don't think so. I think
Carolina's got a bunch of issues to solve.
They do. They do. They're going to go back to Sam Darnold this week. Yeah. Sutton, Jeudy. Sutton I already had so low that it was hard to move him down more. I feel like Judy's going to move down more. But everybody.
They need a new quarterback so bad.
Yeah. They're 7-7. Imagine what they would be if they had a good quarterback. Imagine.
I can't be quite honest with you. I don't know. It'd be really good. Terrible.
Not impressed. Appreciate you both. Thank you. Oh, hey Gary. It has been a really long time, actually. I miss you. Oh, thanks for tuning into the show, Adam. I always enjoy your whatever you say, really. It's always nice to hear. Okay, we have some questions from the advanced questions. What do we think? Do we still trust Dak?
I think you have to.
You do? Why?
Don't have any other options.
Outside of the top 20 quarterbacks for the last 5 weeks. Why? Why do you still have to trust him?
Don't have any other options. Quite honest with you.
You don't have other options.
I mean, you could turn to Tyler Huntley, but
I would. I would have to do that. Okay. I mean, how can you play Dak again? Well, I mean, next week is Washington. You going to play him again?
I mean, he'll be ranked lower than usual, but
last time against Washington, 2 interceptions and only 211 yards, 1 touchdown. You going to play him? Can you? I'm not going to do that.
Desperation play.
No, I'll have to. I mean, let's say Tyler Huntley were the starter next week. I think Lamar's going to come back, personally.
I think he is too.
But would you play Huntley against the Bengals or Dak against Washington next week?
I'd roll Huntley out there.
I would play Huntley. I mean, I'm not going to rank Huntley where I would rank Lamar. But I'm going to rank Huntley as a quarterback 1 next week. And just come what may. Come what may. I mean, sometimes it's the playoffs. Sometimes you got to make bold moves. You have to make bold moves if you want to succeed. And this is a bold move. It's risky. Risky to start Huntley this week. But
yeah. Paid off.
Almost nobody asked me And I think they just dismissed it as a possibility because I had 289 questions this morning. A lot of people just simplify them for me. And they probably didn't even ask about Huntley, even though I would have given Huntley as my answer. So, I had him quarterback 19 this week, which was actually right in line with consensus that I saw. But the answer to this question is no. No, I do not. I don't trust Dak, and this week was the last straw for me. He won't be ranked as a quarterback 1 next week for me. He might be for other people, but not for me. I don't trust him anymore. Not this year. Not now. I don't know why. I can't really put my finger on what the problem is. The Dallas defense is better. The running game, Pollard and Zeke have been hurting, but they were still effective today.
Yeah.
And next week, I don't think they suffered any setbacks. So next week they'll be more effective. So, but yeah, I would say no. I don't still trust Dak. Okay. Most valuable, way too early waiver pickups of the week. What do you think? What do you think of these two? That Cinco de Manger, or however you pronounce that? I think it's a play on Cinco de Mayo. Cinco de Manager, maybe? Maybe. Anyway, what do you think about these two? Rojo and Tyler Johnson.
Well, I mean, Fournette's injury didn't look too good the way he was limping off the field.
The hamstring. He's gonna miss next week. He's gonna miss next week. I think you have to prepare for that at this point.
I mean, Rojo's gonna be the top then, honestly.
Yeah, next week is the Panthers, so not easy.
No, not easy, but
I'm
still putting him up top. I mean,
can you trust Rojo?
No, but with all the injuries and whatever may happen with COVID in the next week, you might have to. So
watch Keyshawn. No. I was about to say watch Keyshawn Vaughn get 20 carries, but Keyshawn Vaughn had a horrible drop in this game. It was like, I'm trying to catch it. He's terrible. I would add Keyshawn Vaughn in a Dynasty League, though, off Dynasty waivers, if he's on there. Because just in case somehow something happens, week 17, the Bucs play the Jets. So just in case somehow Keyshawn Vaughn is the starter, you want whoever the Bucs starter is against the Jets in week 17. If somehow it's Keyshawn Vaughn.
If Keyshawn Vaughn turns into a league winner in week 17 against the Jets.
No, it's going to be Rojo. We know it's Rojo.
I know, but you never know. You never know what's going to happen in a given week.
But Rojo could get hurt, for example. And then
you never know.
Keyshawn Vaughn is a must add in Dynasty Leagues. Tyler Johnson.
Yeah.
In Dynasty Leagues, he should never have been on waivers.
No.
But yeah, I mean, in redraft, probably going to go another way.
Greg Reynolds.
Well, in redraft, how about Antonio Brown?
I hope he's not on waivers.
He might be.
I'm gonna check the percentage on ESPN real quick.
I bet you it's under 60%.
It's not. You're a touch over at 66 points. Oh, he's actually on my waivers. Oh, hello. Well,
so apparently he's on waivers somewhere.
Apparently. Didn't see that one coming. Thanks for the heads up. I appreciate that.
If only. Well, I was the one who told people to cut Antonio Brown, so I really hope they didn't listen to me.
Yeah, he's going to be the league winner.
Yeah, I mean, you couldn't have predicted this, but yeah, Antonio Brown is going to rank as a top 5 receiver next week.
Yeah.
Oops.
And he's available in over 30% of leagues.
Yeah, so he's a must-add. And Craig Reynolds, too. Okay. Where did you have Gabe Davis and Duke Johnson in your rankings this week, Brittle Week? I mean, you didn't rank Duke Johnson. And
no.
Gabe Davis, I did rank at 44. So not good. Not a good ranking. Oops. Sorry. I definitely told at least one person to play Marvin Jones over Gabe Davis. And also another one, Rashad Bateman. Not good. Also Julio Jones.
Can't win them all.
And Jerry Jeudy.
I didn't see it coming for Gabe Davis, but now we're on watch.
Yeah, but those were some of the players I recommended over Gabe Davis, so not my best. But whoever asked about Amon-Ra over Gabe Davis, I think that one I got right. I think it's close actually on the PPR.
It's a neutral. They both scored 20.
That one they're happy. But who could I have given someone over Gabe Davis that they were really happy with?
I don't know.
Christian Kirk?
Probably.
Any higher and they wouldn't have asked.
Exactly.
Christian Kirk is probably the one that I could have given them over Gabe Davis that they were the most happy with. Pretty much everyone else I gave them as an alternative. Didn't work. But yeah. Ouch. Was this the worst cumulative fantasy week in the history of the game? No. Definitely not.
I think it's up there. It's not the worst.
I mean, were there multiple devastating injuries to the best players in the league?
No, thank goodness.
I don't think this week was bad. I think this week only feels bad because it was the first week of fantasy playoffs. I think if this week it happened 6 weeks ago, nobody would have noticed. I really don't think it was that bad. Like, a lot of the good players performed well. There were some duds. There are every week. There weren't that many major injuries. The Chris Godwin and Mike Evans injuries feel bad now, but if these injuries happen in week 4, nobody's throwing a fit over them. Same with Leonard Fournette. I don't think that's going to be – that's not a 5-week injury either. And there weren't that many other injuries. I mean, Sterling Shepard tore his Achilles, and I feel bad for him, but that's not a fantasy, big deal. So, yeah, I don't think so.
I just think there was more. Maybe it was noticed more because of the playoffs, like you said, but I just feel like there was more duds than usual.
Didn't feel that way to me.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess.
I mean, that was made up for by Tyler Huntley,
Gabe Davis, Craig Reynolds.
It is a question of how many people actually started these players, though. Like, did you get these points? Like, nobody got the Duke. Well, almost nobody got the Duke Johnson points. I did tell some people to start Craig Reynolds. So some people, if they listened to me, got those points. A lot of people got the Tyler Huntley points, but only in Superflex. If you were in one QB, you probably didn't start him. So. But yeah, I mean, there were a lot of boom performances. I mean, Amon-Ra, people got that good game, and Brandon Cooks had a really good game. A lot of people got that one. But yeah, the island games were quieter, which I also like. The whole Patriots and the whole Bucks were all bad, except
JT. But
no, I mean the Patriots and the Buccaneers. Those two teams, you could just dump them in a trash can. You weren't other than Hunter Henry, who a lot of people didn't start.
No.
So, despite the fact, I did tell some people to start Hunter. But you had the Kansas City and the Chargers game to open the week. That was a lot of fun. But I guess some people were a little let down by Austin Eckler. But Mahomes had a huge game.
Yeah.
And if you started Kelsey or Hill,
you're happy.
But I can get it. Like, if you started the week against Kelsey or Hill,
demoralized.
You probably, you didn't have another stud. There wasn't another performance yet. There are still 4 games left. There's 4 games left instead of just, usually when we do this recap, there's 1. There's 4 games left. There's still a lot of cards to be played.
Yeah, I mean, Cooper Kupp's still out there.
Cooper Kupp is still out
there.
Cooper
Kupp is going to save so many seasons on Tuesday night.
This is the week DK Metcalf drops 30, isn't it?
It's the week.
Yeah. You know how that works.
First week of
I got so many questions about DK Metcalf. Yeah. Do I start DK Metcalf? Can I start DK Metcalf? I was like, yes. Yes, you can.
It's the week. It's happening.
I know. Nick Chubb is still out there. Josh Jacobs is still out there against the depleted Browns.
Justin Jefferson
is still out there. Dalvin Cook is still out there.
There's a lot of points to be had.
There's a lot of points to be had. It's not over. I mean, should we drop our Bucks and Cardinals players and pick up some Lions and Texans? I mean, Texans, no. Lions, maybe. But, Do you still have faith in Mike Williams next week against the Texans? Williams had 3 for 49 on 9 targets. He had that injury. Do you?
Yeah, really. I mean, against Houston, great matchup. I mean,
he's probably going to rank as a low-end wide receiver too.
Yeah.
Again, I'm not going to like it, but
gotta do it though.
Probably, unfortunately.
Herbert.
Yeah, it's tough, but I guess so. I'm not doing this. I'm not doing it. Look, he lost his starting 2 wide receivers, his starting running back, his wide receiver 3 didn't, and wide receivers 3 and 4 didn't play. I mean, he lost his only 3 reliable offensive weapons other than Gronk in the middle of the game.
It's tough.
It's tough. You know, he lost 3 Pro Bowlers.
Mm-hmm.
So...
Yep. You're down 1.
No, I don't think he's broken. Was it his best game? No. I mean, I'm not going to tell you he played well because he didn't. But I think next week he'll do better. Next week is against the Panthers. I think he'll do better.
Yeah, I agree. Ooh.
What do you do if you have Evans and Godwin? Well, what can you do?
I mean, first off, hope that you're in one of the 30% of the leagues where Antonio Brown is indeed out there.
Well, let's say you're not.
I know. You got a hypothetical, but I mean...
You can always try.
You could always try. I mean, you could pivot to... I mean, who did you even pivot to? Like, it's so difficult.
I don't know.
Hope Gabe Davis is out there. He's out, at least on ESPN, he's out there in 90% of leagues.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
I mean, he's a decent filler option till I think you said Godwin was probably done for the season.
They're both done.
Yeah.
There's only 2 more weeks of the fantasy season. Neither of them are going to play.
Yeah. I mean, hope Gabe Davis is out there. I mean, hopefully you have someone on your bench to pivot to.
Yeah.
And there's no, you can't replace their production.
No, of course not. But you do what you can do, right? I mean, I don't know what to tell you specifically other than, it's possible if you're in a Dynasty league, it is what it is.
Yeah.
So try to replace them the best you can. Don't give up, I guess is probably my best advice.
Yeah. That's as much as we could give. We don't know
pretty much. Yeah, we don't know who else is on waivers, that kind of stuff. So anything else? Because you are right in one thing that I do feel like this week on some level was kind of uneventful. Yeah, there's Tyler Huntley. There were a couple other things, but it did feel a little uneventful.
Yeah, I get that. I mean, the Thursday night game was really, really good.
Yeah, that's true, but that was a while ago.
It was a while ago. It feels like forever ago. I mean, the Lions dropping 30, beating the Cardinals. I mean, that's eventful. I mean,
that was eventful. Yeah, that's true. But
that was fun.
For fantasy purposes, really, I mean, what are we looking at going forward? For waivers, Craig Reynolds is probably the one.
Gabe Davis.
Rojo for sure. Rojo
at the top.
Craig Reynolds, Gabe Davis. Anyone I'm forgetting? I mean, I'm sure there is. But...
Tyler Huntley, if you need a quarterback, maybe.
Yeah, if you need a quarterback. But Lamar was close to playing this week.
Yeah, I agree. I think Lamar comes back, but that's about it for most waivers. So looking through it.
I don't think there was anyone who Jeff Wilson, but he's not still out there. Yeah. There weren't. Yeah, I think we covered most of the waivers. And, there's still 4 games to go. It's going to be interesting. That's one thing that's interesting. I mean, do you think the sites are going to change the waiver run time? Because the games are not going to finish until like 10:30 on Tuesday.
I don't think so.
We're going to have...
It's going to be hectic.
We're going to have live games while I'm on SDLF, which is definitely going to hurt my audience, but that's whatever. It's just 1 week of this Tuesday football.
Yeah. Wild stuff.
Yeah, it is what it is.
It's interesting to see all your playoff matchups, and you see Monday at 5:00 and Tuesday at 7:30. Like
that is really weird.
That's a little bit of stress too, because I don't know about you as a fantasy player, but I like when I need someone, I like my last player to go last. Like I like my players to go last, so then I know what they have to put up.
Oh, I don't care.
I just one of those superstitious people, I guess, because I like knowing when my matchup is secured, I win. Maybe that's just a personality kind of thing, but
I don't care about that.
It's stressful seeing them all moved around now. Like I don't like it, but that may just be me. So
yeah, I just never really worried about that. Sometimes I barely even pay attention to my scores, honestly.
I should probably do that.
Yeah, I pay attention sometimes, but not always.
Watching Russell Gage drop 30 points against some of my fantasy teams today was demoralizing, to say the least.
That must hurt. But yeah, no, I mean, at this point, at the end of the day, like I'm mostly a dynasty analyst. I do in season. I don't really switch over to redraft. I just switch because I don't do a lot of redraft. I don't talk about a lot of redraft. We talk about it. We address it on the show from time to time. Obviously I'm eliminated from Scott Fishbowl. It's the only redraft league I actually play. So the only thing is I do start sit because start sit is everybody. Everybody does start sit. Dynasty redraft, unless best ball. So, but I don't really do redraft content. So, we talk about start sit in that way. But, as we move to the off season, the recaps are, each week kind of, we're getting close to the off season. So we're starting to put in those off season values. And we're going to have to, redo my dynasty ranks. I feel like I need to do like an overhaul, like at some point soon, the next couple of weeks, I'm going to take obviously 2021 out, and then we'll look to starting 2022. And that'll be like a cool process.
I can't wait for the offseason.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the top of it already is kind of like that.
Yeah, I get what you mean.
What do you do going forward? I do have to also find a faster way to update the dynasty ranks. The way I do it now just takes way too long.
Spreadsheets, man. It's just
no, it's not that. It's how it's how I aggregate the data coming into the spreadsheet. But we're gonna do. It's gonna be nice when we record our shows in the off season that we're not doing it in the middle of the night. People should tell us. Leave it as a comment. How about that? If you're on the video and you're watching it later, leave it as a comment on the video. Like what time you'd like the best. I assume it's not this time.
No.
But
I agree with that. I agree with that statement.
We'll figure out when we want to do it. And we're gonna try to make it a podcast too, which we've talked about offline, obviously. Yeah. But yeah, I feel good about this week, really. I don't feel like I missed anything. I mean, I'm sure I missed things, but I gotta tell you, I'm looking forward to when I'm giving kind of more of the dynasty big picture takes and less of the focused on one specific week takes. Because I kind of miss that. I miss the big picture analysis because I've been so focused on the micro. I kind of miss and I'm always a little bit micro. Most of my analysis is kind of one player. I don't do a lot of meta analysis for DLF. Mm-hmm. We have people who specialize in that, and that's not me. I do a lot of one player at a time analysis, deep dives, that kind of stuff. team-based analysis.
Yeah.
But even so, that's a lot bigger picture than what happened last week and not what happens next week. At least I get to look at a whole season or seasons in the context of one player. So anyway, plug your stuff. We haven't done that in a while.
Well, first off, my off-season goal is to get you into some underdog best ball tournaments.
Yeah, I mean, really, I should. You know, it's been tough. I've been obviously, as people know,
haven't started yet, so you're good.
Yeah, as people know, I signed the deal with Underdog. My promo code is Tyler K. It's on my Twitter, which is there. Got that pretty quick.
Yeah, you got that pretty quick. I was got the hand right first try.
Yeah, but you can sign that up. You can sign up using that promo code and you get up to $100 matched on your first deposit. But yeah, I don't have a lot of experience with best ball. I did it back in the day on draft.com.
I remember draft.com.
Yeah, but I haven't really done it much since draft kind of shut down because I haven't had time. So, I'm hoping that, since I signed the marketing partnership deal, that we can kind of work together to get some content out there for you guys and, to kind of follow along my journey because I'm newer to best ball. It's not really, Dynasty is my specialty and start sit is my second specialty, but best ball is not. It's not my specialty. It's not something I know a lot about. So I'll be learning, about it alongside you. Maybe it'll find it interesting to do some content based on that. In the off season, in season, I just have no time for that. I have no time for that. It takes all my time just to do start sit, let alone Dynasty. Between those two things, I'm like at the end of my rope. I don't have time for redraft content or best ball content in each week. I just can't. But during the off season, I'll have more time to do specialized content for that. So that would be nice.
They feel.
And they have other sports other than football as well.
They have everything.
For you, I know you play basketball. I don't know if you play
basketball. Yeah, Pennsylvania, it's not legal to do like the betting lines, but they were doing like the Jake Paul over-unders like last night, whatnot.
Yeah, for me, I would probably only play football just because you play what you know. If you're going to risk money, you don't want to risk money on things you don't know anything about. But they have other sports for those who are knowledgeable about multiple sports, unlike me, who's just kind of football obsessed and doesn't really follow other sports. I mean, I follow basketball and baseball casually, but nothing.
Yeah. It's one of those things. But yeah, they have everything.
Yeah, no, it must be nice.
My friend was emailing them to add fantasy golf, and they're like, "Well, we'll think about it." So,
well, if there's a lot of demand for it, I'll pass along the message in the marketing thread on the Discord. So
I think they said they were adding it, or they were working on it.
I'm sure they are.
They're working on everything. They're
very responsive platform. Reminds me a little bit of Sleeper, honestly. Like the way they carry themselves reminds me a lot of how Sleeper carries themselves. Very responsive to the people, really trying to meet the needs of the market. Someone who has a master's degree in sports management from Columbia. I have some respect for that. It's part of why I signed the deal in the first place, because I had confidence in the direction that they were going. And I think the people on the show know that, I don't have any problem telling it like it is. I've talked to Sleeper as well, not about a marketing deal, just about their platform, being like, hey, I mean, there's things I like, there's things I don't like. And, Underdog will be the same thing. I'm just going to blindly tell you that everything about it is great. I want to be honest. And, part of that is using this, partnership that I have there's something that people want and think that it could be made better with X, Y, or Z. I don't have any problem telling them that. I think they would trust my opinion. And, at the end of the day, if Underdog becomes better, it's only better for me, since I'm partnered with them. So it's always nice when everything kind of lines up that way. So yeah, I do actually really like them.
Oh yeah,
I do like the work that they're doing. They, approached me in a very nice and low pressure way, and it just very much made me feel like they wanted me to be a part of what they were doing. And I I felt good about it. So that's why I went ahead with it. None of this is like a secret or anything. I've never talked about it on the show. So, it's just something that it all kind of came together very fast and came out of nowhere. But it's just another thing that I'm doing. Very busy, but trying to get overwhelmed or burnt out. But during the off season, you'll hear more about it.
Yeah. Well,
yeah. Thanks for bringing that up.
I got you.
Plug your stuff though. I'm tired of plugging my stuff.
Right hand this time. You can find my tweets at RyanPros_FF. You can find my work at the Vipers, and you could find we're still working on the fantasy news. We're gonna bring it back. I swear, we're working on it.
Back.
We're gonna bring it back, and I have some other cool things in the works. So we'll see what happens with them.
Yeah, I've heard it's coming back very soon. That's my referral link. Try it. We'll see if it works. I hope it does. The promo code is better. Tyler K. I will write that in the comments. There's your promo code for Underdog. So $100 matched with that code. And then there's, of course, my Patreon, patreon.com/fantasy advice, which I'm happy that I have. All my articles are at DLF. And I am going to start discussing what my off-season content is going to look like. So hopefully it's a little bit more regimented than it was last off-season, where it was just kind of haphazard. I'm going to try to do some more I don't think I'm going to write as many articles. So I'm going to try to do some more regular pieces. Probably similar to what I'm doing now, 2 or so articles per week, and then 2 regular articles, and then I'll add feature content when necessary. I'll have more time to do it during the off-season. But other than that, I just appreciate everyone who's watched, listened to, or just interacted with me in anything that I do. Without you guys, I wouldn't still be here. So, I've posted a lot thanking you all for your support. And just looking forward to another fun off season with everyone. And hopefully before that, I can take you guys to some fantasy playoff wins. And if you have any questions, just Twitter's the best place. Just at me. And please, please, please stop adding me with 20 other people. You're not getting your question answered if you do. You're not going to. Just put it in one of my threads. You bury me in 50 notifications, and I need that notifications feed to stay pretty clean. So, because otherwise I miss things. That's how I make sure I don't miss anything. If you just at me, I promise I won't miss you. I will get to you. I don't think I miss 5 questions a week out of 1,000. You'll be fine. I promise I'll get to you. And if you keep seeing me miss you, then we're gonna have a talk with Twitter about why your questions keep disappearing on me. But anyway, hope y'all won your playoff matchups, or you win them.
Best of luck this week. I didn't think we'd ever say
there's still 4 games left, so best of luck in that. And otherwise, best of luck next week.
Yep. See you right back here.